Software Part 2. Interface to hardware. Hardware interfaces refer to the connection and communication of different devices. For example, a printer being connected to a USB port is actually connected to the USB interface of the system. Another example is a graphics card plugged into a PCI slot, which is using the PCI interface to connect and communicate. There are various different hardware interfaces found in computing. Some examples are serial and parallel interfaces, which is commonly used in communications, allows data to be sent one bit at a time, and is capable of sending many bits of data at a time via numerous lines. There is also USB interfaces, which is a serial interface which is commonly used to connect all sorts of devices, including printers, scanners, external storage devices, mice, digital cameras, and more. There is also PCI, PCIX, and PCI Express interfaces, which uses multiple parallel communications. The PCI family of interfaces are used for countless internal devices, including sound cards, modems, graphic cards, and many other expansion cards.
Interface to user. A good user interface provides a user-friendly experience, allowing the user to interact with their software or hardware in a natural and intuitive way. There are different ways of interacting with computer systems which have evolved over the years. There are four main types of the user interface: command line, CLI, graphical user interface, CUI, menu-driven, MDI, and natural language, NLI. Command line interfaces are the oldest of the interfaces. CLI is a text-based interface that is used to operate software and operating systems while allowing the user to respond to visual prompts by typing single commands into the interface and receiving a reply in the same way. It involves the computer responding to commands typed by the operator. This type of the interface has the drawback that it requires the operator to remember a range of different commands. CLI is very fast and efficient when you know what you're doing. However, CLI is not ideal for new users. Nearly all software programs have a graphical user interface, meaning the programs include graphical controls which the user can select using a mouse or keyboard. A typical GUI of a software program includes a menu bar, a toolbar, windows, buttons, and other controls. Macintosh and Windows operating systems have different UI, but they share similar GUI elements such as a desktop, windows, icons, and more. These common elements make it possible for people to use either operating systems without having to completely relearn the interface. Menu-driven interfaces provide a simple and easy-use interface comprised of a series of menus which the user accessing through pressing buttons. MDI is commonly used on cash machines, ticket machines, and information kiosks. Natural language interface is a spoken interface which the user interacts with the computer by talking to it. An example of natural language is voice recognition, Siri, and Google Home.
Interface to software. Software is the things that we'll see on a screen, such as a game or PowerPoint. These different pieces of software are ways that we can communicate with the computer to get it to do things. There are a variety of different ways that we can interface with these, such as different computers can communicate between each other, or we can have something such as a keyboard or a mouse, which we can use to interact with the software. By using this to interact with the software, we can get the computer to do what we want it to actually do. There are a variety of different software applications which are appearing on the screen at the moment, such as word processing software, database software, spreadsheet software, and so on, which these interfaces can be used for.
Control the concurrent running of software applications. So what's concurrent programming? It's essentially multitasking. Concurrency can be found everywhere in the world as it is constantly happening. Though concurrency in software is a bit hard to achieve, as most programming languages are sequential, only able to process one task at a time. To control the concurrency software applications, things such as multiprocessors are used and multitasking, which consists of 3 states: blocked, ready, and running, is available. There are also application-based solutions that lets the software to take control on how it interacts.
Managing system resources. Some of the different system resources that we have include the RAM, the hard drive usage, the CPU, and the network, and the GPU. Each of these are different pieces of hardware which perform certain processes, but they can only perform so much of each process, so there has to be some way that we can allocate how much each piece of software on a computer can actually use of this. Operating systems usually take control of this. When we open the task manager, we can get an overview of which programs are using how much of each thing. Current trends in the development of software and operating systems. Some of the current trends include that a lot of GUIs these days are becoming a lot more simplistic and easier for users to use. A good example of this is the difference between the Windows 10 settings and the Windows 7 settings. It has become a lot more simple and easier to read, and although this may make some certain settings hard to find, it can make it a lot easier for newer users to use in the long run. And another thing which is coming high into use these days is the use of artificial intelligence in software to make it easier to communicate with the program, as it can more easily predict what you want to do. And that's it.